What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. You can see I'm sitting out here on the boat on the water. Today is day one of practice for stage 4 of the Bass Pro Tour. I'm on Lake Eufaula here in Oklahoma. So I'm gonna put the chest camera on here for a little while, just see what I can do. I'm fishing up around some shallow rock right now, doing a little bit of practicing, like I said, just kind of trying to figure out where I can get some bites. I believe the fish should be spawn, post-spawn, pre-spawn, all 3 phases. So far this morning, it's about 8 o'clock, a little past 8 o'clock. I've caught 3 bass, a pretty nice spotted bass, like 2 3/4, a little over 2-pound largemouth. This week on Eufaula, our minimum scoreable size is 1 pound 8 ounces. So both those fish were scoreables. And then I caught a non-scoreable largemouth that was maybe 1 1/4 pounds or so. Didn't weigh it, but it didn't look like it'd make 1.5 pounds. So I'm gonna put the camera on. One of those bites came on a spinnerbait, one of those bites came on a chatterbait, and the other one came on a small shallow crankbait. So all kind of power fishing techniques. Was hoping I'd see a shad spawn this morning, but I really haven't seen too much as far as signs of a shad spawn goes, but it could just be the area of the lake that I'm in. I'll look again tomorrow morning. But anyway, guys, gonna put the chest camera on and see if I can't figure some stuff out here on Eufaula. All right, guys, so I'm going to pick my spinnerbait back up. You know, a lot of the times early in practice, you want to throw something moving. That way you can kind of cover some water. So I'm just going to keep throwing the spinnerbait, chatterbait, you know, maybe some other moving baits, crankbait, that kind of stuff. Like I said, that's what I've had my bites on so far. Throwing a shaky head a little bit, not a lot. One thing about Eufaula, it's kind of interesting, makes it kind of a challenge, is I don't know if you guys can see this or not. If you look at my active target, there are fish everywhere in the water column. I'm panning right now with active target, but it's like literally everywhere you go, it looks like that right there. And so it makes it really hard to decipher bass, and so it makes it really just hard in general to use the active target. So, you know, that's a great way to obviously catch numbers of fish, active target on most bodies of water. On this lake so far, from what I've seen, it seems like it's been a little bit of a challenge to decipher what bass are. I did see the spotted bass chase my chatterbait down and eat it. So there might be some use for it real shallow. I may be able to pick off some of these dots that are up there in 4 or 5, you know, even shallower feet of water. It seems like once I get out there off the bank, it's just full of stuff that's not bass, and so it makes it really a challenge to use that active target. So guys, I'm just gonna focus on the shoreline for now. I mean, this is the time of the year, especially with this stained water that you got on Eufaula, where these fish should be up and around all this shallow cover. You know, the taper of this bank here, it's moderately steep. So there's plenty of little shelves and flatter areas for a fish to make a bed. And a lot of the times those bigger females, there's one right there, guys. That's a big one too. There we go. I was just saying there's plenty of room for them to make a bed up there. That's a pretty good fish. There we go. That's the biggest one of the day, I think. Drop my power poles. Hopefully I don't drift up in there. Look at that, on the trailer hook too. Yeah, see, look at its tail. See that fish right there? Yep, it's peeing too. So that is more than likely a big male. So you can see his tail's all raw. I was just saying how they're probably up there making beds. That's a nice fish. That's a really nice fish. Let's see what that one weighs. So just by looking at him, to me, he resembles a spawning male, a big male. And what I was just in the middle of saying is a lot of times on these steeper banks, you'll get bigger females because they'll slide out into that deeper water and kind of hover around, float around until they want to go up there and drop their eggs. I believe this is a big male. 3-pounder. That's my biggest one of the day. That's a great quality fish. I'll take a bunch of those this week, guys. I need about 100 of these suckers. Thank you, fish. Maybe you clued me into something. You're my second decent scoreable bite down this area on a spinnerbait. Appreciate you, buddy. Awesome, guys. All right. So that's our biggest one of the day. You know, I don't necessarily think I'll be able to get a bite right there again in the tournament. So, I mean, I'll put a waypoint down, but I don't think it's going to necessarily result in another fish here. So, but it gives me an idea. Oops, I meant to mark it on my graph down here. My trolling motor's hitting the bottom. I'll need to pull that up in a second. So 3-pounder spinnerbait. And I can just kind of get an idea of where my bites are. See, I got one back here, largemouth on point. That was the 2-1, and then I got one here. That's also kind of on the edge of that, well, a little past that point. This whole shoreline looks like it kind of resembles where I'm at right here. Contours are a little steeper. This side across the way, same way. So if I get a couple more bites in here, I may just not fish anymore. Because, like I said, I don't necessarily want to hook all of them and ruin something that could be good for the tournament. So I'm basically just trying to locate if I can get some bites, and so far it seems like I can. All right, so he kind of tweaked my spinnerbait out a little bit, but that was on that trailer hook. I like to always throw a trailer hook, and even in practice, you know, I mean, that bite was real subtle when he first hit it, and I may have just thought that I bumped into something that a smaller fish hit it, but being able to put a hook in them and see them, it gives me a lot more confidence. Probably don't need to fish quite as thoroughly in here. I'll just hit all the... There's one. Oh yeah. All right, guys. I think I'm done in here. I think I am done in here. That is a fat largemouth. Man, he choked that spinnerbait too. He was right where he should have been, behind that rock. I think I'm done in here, guys. I have no desire to catch any more of those. That is a scoreable bass for sure. He's kind of pooping on himself. All right, buddy, you're a 2-pounder. Thanks for biting. You clued me in on some stuff. Let's drop another waypoint right here. That was like back-to-back bites on that last fish and then that one I just caught. So I'm gonna put 2-pound RG. And we already know it was on a spinnerbait because that was what the last one was on. Right on, guys. So, I mean, that fish was right up there behind that boulder. Real fat, could have been a small female. I mean, they don't all necessarily need to be spawning to be up in here. They could just be hanging out. But that's good. I like this area too because it's fairly protected. So if the wind blows, it looks like I'll be out of it. You know, there's all these little nooks and crannies of these rocks that I never threw at. And with the water being stained too, I mean, they can really get up in there and feel protected. So I feel pretty good about this little zone right here. All right, guys, I was going to show you one quick little thing here. So I'm back in this pocket still. I have these shortcuts on my Lowrance HDS Pros here where I can shut off my sonar. I can shut it off there through my in-hole transducer, and then I've got 1 and 2 set up over here to shut it off for my down and side, and then my 2D on my 3-in-1 transducer. I always do that before I stand up front. I think it makes a little bit of a difference as far as noise goes. I don't necessarily know if it results in a whole lot more bites, but for me, it gives me more confidence that I'm not making a whole bunch of noise, and I can control that. So that's definitely something that I do every time I stand up front. You just get in the habit of doing it. Those shortcuts make it super easy, and then when you sit back down, you just hit 1 on the one and then 1 and 2 on the other on the shortcuts, and you just pop right back into scanning. And so it's just one little trick that I do. And anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys. But I'm going to work down this little rocky area here. On the other side over there is where I just caught those 2 fish that you guys saw. Right across the way is where I'm at now. It all looks very similar over here. So what I'm going to do is, if I get a bite over here, I'm probably going to just leave it. I'm not going to make any more casts down this bank. I'm just going to mark this area and know that, hey, I can come in here, and more than likely on these rocks, as long as it doesn't get a ton of rain, I can more than likely come in here and get bit on a spinnerbait. All right, guys, so went through a little bit of a lull. It is now, I'm looking at my Lowrance, 11:45, a little before 11:45, and I've just figured a little something out. I was seeing fish, so it seems like since the morning time, a lot of that activity that was up in the water column, a lot of that bait, it looks like it's kind of gone down. It looks like it's settled out a little bit. So I'm actually able to use my active target a little bit better, but it still seems like if I get off the bank, it's really cluttered and there's a lot of trash fish. But if I'm up near the shoreline, I can actually identify some of the fish as bass. And I was able to rotate through some baits. I started out with a drop shot, jerk bait. What else did I throw? A shaky head, and I couldn't get these fish to respond. And I tied on a Ned rig. Here, I'll show you the bait that I was throwing, or that I am throwing, I should say. Right here. Just a Ned rig. This is a big TRD. This is one of my favorite baits back home in Oregon. There's a lake over there, Emigrant Lake, and this watercolor really reminds me of Emigrant, and I used to slay them on this big TRD on like a, I think this is like a 1/6 ounce Ned head, and I'm just hopping this thing around up real shallow on some points. And the points that I'm fishing are like this kind of gravelly looking stuff right here. Really not big chunky rock like I was finding those spinnerbait fish on earlier, but I'm seeing quite a few fish. I've had 4 bites. One of them was a scoreable, like 2 something pounder, but I have just started doing it. So I'm gonna slap the chest camera back on and I'm gonna get back to it. I'm gonna see if I can get a couple more scoreable bites doing this. I think this is something that I can run all over the place in this section of the lake with this cleaner water, and I think it's a bite getter. And on this every fish counts deal, I mean, that's what we need to find. We need to find stuff that's gonna be bite getters. We need to get a lot of bites. So anyway, guys, little update for you. All right, guys. Oh, I've had the GoPro off for a while. Look at that bass I just caught. This fish is huge. It's got the tail of a crappie sticking out of its throat. This fish weighed 6 pounds, 11 ounces. I just caught it on that little Ned rig that I was showing you guys a little bit ago. I've caught 2 more scoreables since the last little update. I'm gonna get out of this area. This area has been kind of interesting. I've just been going along, haven't necessarily been focused on one particular spot, just been kind of going down the bank. And I think I figured something out with the Ned rig. That is a true freaking giant. Wow, that's the biggest fish I've ever caught out of this lake. Biggest bass I've ever caught in Oklahoma. What a beautiful bass. Guys, I think we just figured out what we need to do in the derb. It's a whole different area, guys. I just ran like 2 or 3 miles out from where I was. This fish is pooping. I want to weigh him though to see if he's 1.5 pounds. I think he is. A whole different like, can't even talk. Whole different area of the lake. I'm almost just as excited about this one as I was that like almost 7 pounder, because this shows me that I can run around. Yep, scoreable. See, 1.8 pounds. So he's like a minimum scoreable, but that's exactly what we want. We want as many of those as we can get. Obviously we want 7 pounders too, but that was super cool. I watched that fish on active target. I saw him swimming around. I dropped my little Ned rig down there and he picked it up and swam off with it. So what that tells me is that I should be able to run around and do this on any of these stretches. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap up my practice video here for you. Hopefully you enjoyed some of the fish catches that I got on the chest camera. I didn't run the camera all day. I wish I had it on for that big one that I caught that I showed you guys, but I was on the phone with my dad chatting, and she sucked up my Ned rig. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a recap. It is 6:11 right now. Sunset's around 8 o'clock. I'll probably head in a little before then. It's been a long day, and our tournament doesn't go that late anyway, so anything I find this evening is probably going to be somewhat irrelevant as far as the bite window. So probably gonna head in here in about an hour or so and call it a day. But anyway, guys, what I want to share with you is what I figured out. The first thing you guys saw this morning was the spinner bait. This guy here, I cut it off because it was getting a little windier and I wanted a 1/2 ounce to get it down just a little bit more. But the new Dirty Jigs Compact, like I said, can't remember the name of that color, but super nice kind of stained water color with that little chartreuse split tail on there. And then the Ned rig, guys. The Ned rig was kind of a surprise for me, honestly. Like, I had tied up a bunch of finesse rods. I had not tied up the Ned rig. I was just out today and I couldn't get some fish to bite, and I wanted to try some other stuff, and I ended up picking up that Ned rig that you guys saw me catch some fish on. And that right there has been, it's been really good, guys. I mean, it hasn't been like phenomenal, but I've been able to go around the entire lake when I find the right kind of stuff. It has to be kind of a secondary point or even a primary point, but it seems like if I can pan around with my active target too and look around those points and look for those dots and then, you know, throw it as many as I can. The ones that are moving fast, those aren't the bass. I'm looking for the ones that are kind of stationary, sitting above rocks, sitting above the bottom just a little bit, and I'll let that Ned rig kind of settle in there and then drag it past it. And it's amazing how many solid fish I caught. I ended up catching another one right at 4 pounds that you guys didn't get to see, and then quite a few, you know, 1.5 pounds, which is scoreable, up to like 2.5, which are great fish. So really happy about the Ned rig. I ended up picking up a football jig, Dirty Jigs football jig, and getting some on it as well, but never did get any scoreables. And then a few on a Carolina rig. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to, or going to get to see that. Besides that, I mean, I tried a whole bunch of other stuff. I've got a ton of rods out. Caught one on a chatterbait this morning, nice spotted bass, but man, that's about it. I've tried a variety of different things, but I've really just been trying to expand and find more areas with groups of fish with that Ned rig. Haven't really found anything that I'm real excited about except for that area that I started in. I think that I could just run around and kind of fish high percentage areas, like I said, look for that right setup and catch scoreable fish throughout this lower end of Eufaula here. But as far as like a big group of fish on a point or a big group of fish down a bank, I haven't found that yet. So that's kind of what I'm searching for. I've got about an hour left. I'm going to keep running around trying to do that. But I just ended down this bank here. I was going down it with that spinnerbait again. I had a couple of white bass, but I don't know. It's been kind of an interesting day. Definitely productive. Overall, it was a fun day. I'm glad you guys are able to kind of follow along and see how I broke down Eufaula today for day 1 of practice. Tomorrow, not exactly sure what I'm going to do, but we'll just kind of regroup this evening and see how I want to go about tomorrow's day of practice. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching the video. If you're not, subscribe to the channel, and if you enjoyed the content today, go ahead and smash the like button for me. Anyway, I'll catch you later.